welcome anyone who's actually watching these. This is our fourth installment of Senior Q&A, Outgoing Senior Q&A. Our current guest for today actually helped me coin that because I don't want to call it an interview or a podcast, but I'm Cody Buchanan, head coach at Guerrilla Wrestling Club down here in Southeast Minnesota. And today, because this is the second one we've done, I am joined by Taylor T. DeFrang out of Dover-Eyota High School. He graduated at 138 pounds this year. He is a 3-time state place winner this year, taking 5th at 138 single A. Few more things about him. Good leader. He brings guys along with him, and him and some of the other Dover-Eyota guys have been really instrumental in bringing more Dover-Eyota guys to our club to the point where they usually outpopulate all the other towns. So big fan of Dover-Eyota. Shouts out to those guys. And mostly with T. T, how you doing, man?
Doing good. How about you, Cody?
Not too bad. What's quarantine life looking like for you?
Well, I just started work at Quick Trip and just kind of put in some hours there. Can't really do too much with sports, obviously, since everything's getting canceled right now. But just, kind of doing what I can right now. Just spend some time outside with my friends, socially distancing and everything. So, yeah, keyword social distance. But, yeah, I'm just kind of doing what I can right now.
So, and something that's different maybe for you than other students is you're a post-secondary student right now. So you're going to RCTC, you're taking classes through RCTC?
Yep. So I'm online right now, and actually, technically, I'll graduate this year with an associate's degree. And so after that, I'll be going to EWL for physical therapy. But
hey, you're skipping ahead here. That's not till the end.
I know. I'm just telling you the whole plan. But for now, I'm taking the online classes. It's my last semester of it. So last year and this year I was at RCTC. So I was basically a college student in high school. So yeah, that's what's been going on for me.
And also, we're not going to list any more corporations like the one with KT because they don't sponsor me. Now, if they would like to sponsor and have their name plastered all over these, maybe we'll continue to talk about where you work.
All right, I'll get you the hookup then. I'll see what I can do.
So these Q&As are all about, your kind of experience in the sport of wrestling. What's your first memory of wrestling? How did you get involved? What brought you to the sport?
First memory of wrestling, honestly, it was probably just it's not even really going to practice. It was honestly just me trying to convince my mom to let me do it. I was kind of pushing for it, and my dad was really pushing for it a lot, but my mom was super against it, and she really didn't want me to wrestle. She just thought that it was kind of dangerous, and she was not really all for it. But then I convinced her to let me try it when I was a kindergartner. And yeah, I think just once she kind of got used to it, she was kind of learning a little bit about it, so she kind of started to like it, and obviously I did too. So it all started from there.
Now the whole family's in. Mom, dad, sister, they follow you around pretty well, don't they?
Yeah, they didn't miss a meet last year, and I think my mom missed one, but it was for wedding rehearsal the year before. So
okay.
That was it.
Yeah, and again, I've been talking about this with every interview, but your guys' families are awesome. I love running into them at tournaments. They're always positive to me, which isn't always easy. Sometimes you don't want to be positive with me as a parent or as an athlete, but especially this group of seniors' parents, that they've all been super cool. Moving forward, who are some people or some things that you kind of looked up to throughout the sport and through your experience?
Just kind of some people that I learned from, especially for wrestling, is some of my coaches. In Eyota, there was Chad and Dave for sure. Those two guys just definitely pushed me forward and helped me learn a lot, on the mat and off. And then just some other wrestlers in Eyota, like Michael Otomo. Just I saw the season that he had his sophomore year, and then after that he went to J-Rob, and then obviously there was a flip that switch, and then his junior and senior year he was just a whole new guy. You could see all the hard work that he was putting in, it was paying off. And he was obviously super dedicated to the sport, and it paid off for him. And now he's a D1 wrestler at NDSU. So that was a big thing for me to watch that happen. And then same thing with Reed Sealhammer, and he didn't even go to J-Rob that same year, but that was when I feel like, made a bigger commitment to go to your club, and that's kind of what changed it for him, honestly, and just putting in the work in the off season. And then obviously he got a lot better that time, and he got a state title right after that. And then Mikey did the same thing, and then there's guys like Bennett Sickink that I see like putting in the work, getting better, doing the right things. And it's kind of, you see so many other people do it, and it's just like, maybe I can do that too. So that's kind of what I was trying to follow. And then obviously there's great coaches there. There's you. There's obviously other guys that are popping in. There's Eric Tui a lot, Michael, and yeah, just everybody there. It's just great.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just kind of rambled on it for a minute, but
No, that's fine, dude. That's what this is for. Like, hopefully in about 4 years when you're graduated with like 17 degrees because you're wicked smart, like you end up looking back at this and going, oh man, that's how I was during quarantine when I was graduating. I like that you brought that up. I mean, just the pipeline of all those kids, like, kind of feeds into my next question. And I'm kind of talking about how guys kind of came to the club and how things happened. Obviously, Mike Nelson, his dad, Chad, who was a coach, went to Stewartville as a high school athlete. Mike had been coming to freestyle over in Stewartville for a while because they didn't have a club in Dover-Eyota. And through Mike, all of a sudden, the rest of you guys kind of started filtering over. So then Reed was coming. And when Reed was coming, Bennett was coming from St. Charles. And it's kind of cool to see how, like, Reed, Mike, and Bennett all kind of came over together from the St. Charles Dover-Eyota connection, which then turned into now, like Mike and Baringa and you and Gust and all those, you guys. What I love about the Dover-Eyota St. Charles crew that comes over is you keep bringing in the new blood that keeps bringing in the next set, right? And I think Gavin's next. I don't want to put any extra pressure on him, but
right.
I love that kid, and I see him kind of growing up to be another you or another Reed or another Mike, and that's really exciting for me too.
For sure, I think so too.
I think you started coming around like right at the start of high school. Is that?
Yeah, it was my freshman year. Yep.
And again,
right after 8th grade,
you were a little more reserved then.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it's different,
came
right?
out of my shell a little bit.
Well, and it's different than being in your high school room, and that's something I want to kind of portray as we go through these Q&As. Like, again, being the stud in your high school room, it's awesome. It's great. You get a chance to lead all those kids, but now you're coming into a room where most of them are committed and dedicated to sport, and all of a sudden you're probably not the biggest stud in the room anymore. So you carry yourself differently, you train differently, you have different partners and things like that. So it is different. But then it kind of gives me a fun little insight as I'll go to a high school meet and I'll watch you guys compete and how you guys interact with your high school teams or your high school coaches. And then I see you guys come in on a Sunday or coming in the spring, and I'm like, that's so different of them. I wonder what they're like at school.
Yeah, right.
They act differently. But yeah, so you've been around for quite a while, and that for that I'm extremely thankful. You're super helpful, and like I said, you guys are bringing in the next group. Now we got, Gust and Kellen and all those kids from Eyota, and hopefully adding a few more down the line.
Yep.
Moving forward, when did you feel like you made your biggest breakthrough as a wrestler? Like, when did you turn a corner and you go, okay, I want to be good at wrestling. I know I'm a little bit good. I want to be really good. When did that happen for you?
I think it was probably my year going into 8th grade or my year going into 9th grade. So it was actually, I back it up. That 8th grade summer going into 9th grade was the first year that I consistently started going to your club. But the year before that, I was kind of going here and there, kind of going to some camps and everything. And that 8th grade year, that was when I went to that Thorn camp. I was going to your camp your room every Sunday. I was getting my workouts in and doing a lot of off-season stuff. So I think that was the year that I kind of jumped levels a little bit. And I went from going 0-2 in sections to winning it the very next year. And then, yeah, that's kind of when I kind of flipped the switch and I was like, you know what, I could be good at this. So I kind of gave myself a little bit more motivation and started winning some matches. And I felt like I could have been something after that. So
that's been kind of a repeating theme with these interviews is I've kind of talked with the other guys, like it's one thing to get a win, but it's almost like gambling or anything else. Like as soon as you get a little bit of success, you're like, oh, but now I want more. Like,
exactly.
and it becomes a chicken and egg thing where, like,
I
when
was
you're
just gonna say
losing,
that.
all you think about is like, man, if I was winning, this would be a whole lot more fun. Like
Right.
if this was easier, I'd be happier. And then all of a sudden you win a little bit and it gets much more difficult. Like
Yeah,
winning often and wrestling more matches because you're winning, and wrestling tougher matches because you're winning, and things like it is much more difficult when you choose to train that way, but it ends up being more fun and you choose to do it on your own.
for sure. And that's kind of how I thought about it too. Cause like the more I started winning, the higher I wanted to get. And like the higher I got, the more I started winning, obviously. And it just kind of fed off of each other. And like, obviously there was better partners in GWC than there was at my high school. So like, obviously that's where I wanted to go to start testing myself, even when it wasn't a match. And just the partners there were kind of something I wasn't really getting a feel for in my high school. So it kind of gave me new looks and new feels, and that definitely helped me a lot. So
Well, and
just the
sometimes it's a
practice there
size
for
thing,
sure.
right? Like you just some schools don't have that group of guys at your weight class or in your area, or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
That gets really tough for kids. And as a club coach, as I'm talking to guys, I try to keep my finger on the pulse of guys, and I know some days you're not going to make it to practice. Well, what's going on? Is everything fine? But that's probably one of the more often reasons. Or you have a partner that you've worked with a ton, and then all of a sudden they graduate. Well, I got partners and they do their best, but they're not really, pushing me the way I need to be. I want to do something auxiliary. I want to do something extra. And
right.
I found and then all of a sudden the extra becomes an expectation. Yep, it's Sunday. We're going to practice. Or, yep, freestyle day. Got to go.
Yeah, for sure. And that's kind of something I noticed too is like in my room, if I would have never gone to the freestyle thing, I would have just gotten really good at beating one style of wrestler. And for me, that person in Eyota was Gavin. I wrestled him almost every single day, either him or Blake Leonardson. Those two, they obviously both have their own styles, and I was really good at stopping what they wanted to do, and I knew it worked on them. But obviously, when I go to your club, it's a different thing. I'm wrestling different guys. They have different feels. They're good at different things, And like Garrett Falco, another like really strong, like pretty technical wrestler. Like there's Joe, who's funky, he's good scrambler, and then there's Owen, who's strong and he's fast. And there's so many different guys that give you different feels that you can kind of learn a little bit of everything and see what works for them. Maybe it works for you. You can try new things, and definitely that helped me a lot too. Is just kind of getting new feels.
Moving on to our advice. I'm calling this the advice portion of the Q&A because it's a lot
Yeah.
about advice. Do you have a favorite piece of advice or a life lesson that you've kind of taken from the sport of wrestling? If you want to be cheesy and cliche, go for it. But
Um, I don't really have anything too cliche for you, but I would say that I think is just to take a chance on it and just kind of look right away when I went, I was like not really sure what was going to happen. I was kind of expecting myself to suck, and I kind of did suck right away, but it's okay. I stuck through it, and obviously it started getting a little bit easier, and I started learning a little bit, and then obviously I was making friends there, and it got really fun for me. So I got pretty close with a lot of people there. So
and
I'd
again,
say just take a chance on it.
that's another thing that I'm getting from a lot of these interviews is kids are like, man, you just got to stick through it. Like
Yeah.
you might not be where you want to be now, but you're not going to get there not doing what you need to do, not putting
Right.
putting the work in, or whatever we want to say. That's wrestling tough guy lingo. If
Right.
you, let's say you're talking to a new wrestler, somebody who's thinking about joining the sport, whether it's in youth or high school, what kind of advice would you give that kid?
To a person just joining the sport, I would tell them don't put too much pressure on yourself to win right away, because there's some people that can develop really bad habits just to do things that'll win a match, but maybe aren't necessarily the right thing to do. Because like a lot of young wrestlers just learn how to
Preach.
they just know how to throw a headlock, and it's not going to work when you get older or better, and yeah, I wish if I were to start over again, I would have started working on my basics more. I would have gotten really good at those things and then started adding on instead of just going for these like last chance type moves and kind of doing everything later. So I would say just kind of work on your fundamentals and your basics or whatever. And that's kind of something that really hits home in freestyle and just like good leg attacks, finishing clean, stuff like that. And yeah, setups, all that stuff. So I would just say to not go big right away. Just start with small things. So
Start to sound like a coach over there.
one day,
I
maybe
was gonna
one day.
say we might have a little involvement there.
Yeah.
Um, what would you tell yourself as a younger wrestler? Like right as you think back, like you were saying, kind of 8th grade, going into 9th grade type time. What would you tell yourself at that point, knowing what you know now?
I mean, there's still some things that I wish could have gone differently, obviously. But if I were to do it over again, and I had somebody giving me advice, I wish somebody would have told me just to be more patient. Because that year before, I kind of saw improvement. I got a little bit better. I was so close to being done. I was not really seeing any point of it anymore. I was losing more matches than I was winning. I was getting beat up in practice. I just wasn't really having too much fun with it. But I think a lot of that was from how much pressure I was putting on myself because not too long ago I was in youth and just like killing people, and all of a sudden I was in with the big dogs in high school and just getting my butt kicked, and it was just like a flip of the switch, and I was just like, this is new to me, and I did not like it. And yeah, I wish somebody was just telling me to be patient. And people were telling me that you're gonna take your lumps as a 7th grader, and I was like, yeah, I get that, but I was like, I don't want that to be me, and I was not expecting that, and I don't want to say like be okay with like expecting to lose sometimes, but I
Because
think
it's
just
not
having the
okay.
mindset. What?
Because it's not okay. It's not okay
It's
to
not
lose.
okay. No, that's not what I'm saying. But I wish somebody would have told me that my time would come and that just to be patient and that it'll get better if I put the work in. So
I'm willing to bet that people did tell you that, but maybe you just didn't take it to heart at that time, huh?
I mean, I probably took it the wrong way because when people were saying you're gonna take your lumps, like I knew I was gonna get my butt kicked, but I didn't think it was gonna go quite like that. Like I thought I was gonna have like 20 wins every 10 losses, not I think I was 14 and 18 my first year or something like that. So I wasn't even 500.
And
And
that's
I
hard.
was, huh?
And that's hard. Like being a 7th grader, like as an educator now, like goes and meets 7th and 8th graders. In Minnesota, we're one of the few states that allows 7th and 8th graders to wrestle on varsity or to wrestle up in a high school level.
Right,
And like
right.
that's a big difference. Like granted, they're
Yeah,
usually in the lower weights and everything, but like a 7th grade kid and their brain chemistry and their how your body's built, like that is a huge difference to a 18-year-old outgoing senior.
right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, but when they told me that I was gonna take my lumps, I kind of expected to get some like pretty good losses, but I wasn't expecting to lose to people that I thought I should have beaten. Because like in my head I was a certain level and like other people were like somewhere around there, and then I was just getting beat by people I thought I was probably better than, and that was really frustrating. But then I kind of figured out what I was doing wrong, and obviously people were working with me and getting me better.
That's really funny that you did the whole hand gesture thing too, because I've been talking almost every interview about how a lot of wrestlers view it as a hierarchy, right? Like I beat this person, so they're
Right.
below me now, and they beat this person, so I'm above both of them. But this guy, this wrestler up here beat me, and somebody else beat them, so I can't touch them because that's a jump. I lost to that person. Like we see it
Yeah.
as kind of a pecking order, right? And
Yeah,
that isn't
for
really
sure.
how it exists. Like you could beat this person up here. Like all you have to do is score more points than them. Like it's not an
For sure.
impossibility. Everybody gets 6 minutes to prove it.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's another thing that I wish I would have kind of been a little bit better with too, is that sometimes like going into matches, I kind of had it made up in my head whether I was going to win or lose. And I would kind of wrestle the match before it even happened. And if I thought I was going to lose, there was a 99% chance it was going to happen. There was hardly ever a time when I surprised myself. And that was up until like my junior year. And up until then, I lost probably a lot of matches that I shouldn't have lost just because I didn't have the confidence and I didn't think that I was going to win. And then that was something that changed. I don't even know why it changed, honestly. It's just something that clicked in my head that if I didn't think I was going to win, then it's not going to happen. So at least if I could trick myself into thinking that I might win, then I'd give myself a chance.
You got to fake it till you make it.
Exactly.
So you kind of touched on this earlier because you jumped ahead.
I'm
But
sorry.
what's your plans? What are you doing? You're now going senior. You're getting done with an associate's degree in a couple of weeks from RCTC. What's your plan? What are you doing? Where are you going?
Well, so the plan is to go to EWL next year for physical therapy. Yep. Once an eagle, always an eagle. Let's go. And yeah, that's a quote from my man, Michael Odemo, just in case you're wondering. And until he transferred. But
till he became a Bison.
Yeah, until he became a Bison. But anyways, yeah, I'm gonna go for physical therapy, and that's kind of been the plan ever since I went through it myself. Honestly, I don't know. I've had three knee surgeries and 3 physical therapy cycles, so I kind of got familiar with it. Like all the physical therapists that I was with were awesome, and I don't know, they just seem like they love their jobs. I got to talk to them a little bit about it, and yeah, I think that's the plan.
So, is that something you have to go to grad school for? Like, is the plan to go do 2 to 3 years at UWL and then move on to grad school?
That's the plan, yeah. I don't know if I'll end up. They do have their own.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have their own there, but I don't know if I'll end up going somewhere else. I don't know. I guess we'll kind of see what happens when we get there. But
as an Eagle alumni, I'm very interested to see what your take is on that program. As a PE student at UWL, I had certain preconceived notions about the PT group. They do things differently than the rest of the student body, and maybe we'll talk more about that off air. But
yeah, we can on record, and then we can talk about that.
So one thing, and this isn't on the list of questions because this is something I kind of made up on the fly yesterday. What I'm doing is every person who gets interviewed, they not only have to answer a question from the person before them, but they also have to give a question to the next person.
Okay.
And you don't get to know who you're giving the question to.
Oh, I was just going to say, I'm going to ask you who it's going to be for, but never mind.
So Owen was the first one. Nobody asked him a question, and he asked what was the next person's like toughest loss, and to have them go through it, which is like rude a little bit.
Their toughest loss. Okay.
Yes. You don't have to answer that one because Derek did. And knowing Derek's career and having 2 third-place matches at the section tournament, and that was well suited for him. Sadly, he's going to get it figured out in college. I ain't worried. But it was ironic that was the next question. Then Derek couldn't come up with one until today. This morning he texted me before I interviewed Joe, and he asked who his favorite practice partner was, which is a great question. Then Joe, I didn't get this on camera because I am not a professional at this, but Joe's question was,
what was Joe's answer to that?
His answer was Reed DeFrang.
Reed DeFrang?
Yeah.
Picked the wrong one. Okay.
And that's funny because I brought that up.
It's all right. No, I won't take offense to it or anything. It's fine.
I said it was funny. I said that's an awesome question, and I would ask everybody, but I have a feeling it's gonna like devolve into like a middle school dance scenario where it's like, oh, what? I'm not your favorite practice partner. Well, then you're not my favorite practice partner. And sure enough, that's exactly what just happened. That's hilarious. His question was, what was your closest point to breaking or leaving the sport? Or what was like your, like the worst time in wrestling that you're just ready to be done? I'm out. I'm not doing this anymore.
Like to quitting or to like?
You can take it either way. It could be to quitting, or it could be like something, maybe it was like a really tough workout or a really tough situation going on. Like your closest point to just being like, nope, this is it. This is bad. The big one.
Shoot, there's a few of them.
I'm a firm believer that any tough wrestler has at least 2 or 3 of these.
You want to hear them all?
I want to hear your worst. Like
My very
the one
worst.
that like puddle of human T DeFrang.
Okay, well, my absolute worst one was when, actually, you were there for this. It was in state 2 years ago. No, yeah, 2 years ago, when the dude was like ripping on my knee, like after I had it all wrapped up, and like I found out later that like my ACL, MCL, LCL, and meniscus were torn. And he was just ripping on it, and I literally just sat there and cried in the middle of the match in the state wrestling tournament.
I do remember that, and we can laugh about it now because you're healthy, but at the time it wasn't so comical.
Yeah, that was not a good time for me. That was not a good time for me.
So I need a question from you. What do you want to ask the next person?
Okay, so you already told me that tomorrow's people are Garrett and Colton. So what would I want to ask one of them?
I dropped the ball on that. I shouldn't have said that.
No, it's all good. I'll just ask like a generic question.
There is one rule. I don't want no cheesy like college entry level class icebreakers. I don't care about nobody's like favorite color.
No, I was gonna say that, but like okay, say you got like one, like okay, coach says we can play a game for warm up, right? Like
Yep.
what game are you choosing?
Ooh, I like that.
So like I'm thinking like spike ball, we're talking dodgeball, we got the baseball with the foam roller.
Foam roller baseball is probably one of the better things that has come out of this club in a long time.
It goes hard. It goes hard.
Like we might have gone 3 straight years with having a state champion come out, but I think foam roller baseball might be like what
it's up next.
It's going to go on the cemetery. Like when it's dead, when it's done, like Guerrilla Wrestling Club also created foam roller baseball.
We should trademark that.
Just really, really go in on it. I'll have to like get some video of it next year and show people what we're doing. We played it. So you were in Arizona during border battle. We played it down in Cresco, like in the gym, and the whole other Iowa team was like, they didn't look like they were there to have fun like we were. So they're all just like pouty faced on the bench, and we're all just whipping the ball around with this stupid foam roller. And like nobody knew what to do. Like there was like the fans were starting to trickle in a little bit, and like the announcer and the people that organized the event are all there, and they're like, what is going on out here?
That's freaking hilarious. Just a bunch of freaking dogs from Southeast Minnesota just playing foam roller baseball.
Well, and then you could tell who hasn't played it before. Like we had some kids from like Cannon Falls and Fillmore Central that had like come and joined the team, and they were like trying to play, and they just like could not figure it out.
Obviously their first time, bunch of rookies.
Just to kind of wrap this up, I'm going to give you kind of the floor. You go ahead and thank anybody you want to thank, excluding anybody involved with Guerrilla Wrestling Club.
I can't do anybody involved with Guerrilla Wrestling Club.
In terms of me or other coaches.
Oh, well, I was literally just gonna say you guys first, but okay. well, besides Cody B, Eric, and Michael, I want to thank definitely the guys who started me into it. That'd be like Mikey Nelson, Michael Audemo, and Bennett Sickink, Mark Bringa. Definitely those 4 were kind of game changers for me. Just like not even a part of wrestling, but just kind of in everything. Like they kind of took me under their wing and kind of showed me what's the right thing to do, and kind of, I don't know, they're just really good friends, and not even obviously to do with wrestling, just they're just good friends to have. We go fishing, we go looking for mushrooms, go hang out all the time now, and that's something that I really like coming from Guerrilla. And so yeah, definitely those 4. Definitely want to thank my high school coaches. They've been great, especially Chad and Dave. Those guys are just the best. I love those guys. Yeah, I really miss that. I haven't seen them in a while actually, but definitely want to thank them. a lot of my high school wrestling partners. I want to thank Joe, Stukey, even though I'm not his favorite, it's fine. I'll get over it. I want to thank Tegan Miller, Blake Leonards, a lot of good partners that I've had. Gavin Gus, just all those guys for making me better every day.
I mean, you wouldn't know how to stop a fireman quite as well if you didn't wrestle Gavin, would you?
Big facts. Shout out to Gavin.
But not a shout out to the sloppy firemen we hit every time a guy hits an underhook because we don't want to clear a tie.
We didn't have to talk about that. I thought they
I've been really trying to not go with the personal attacks on kids, and that's why I told Owen, I was like, I'm not telling you who the question's to because I know you're going to do something that's going to make them feel uncomfortable or something. I was like, we're not going to try to blow up their spot as we're doing these little Q&As, and sure enough, I ended up being the first person to really pop it off and just come at Gavin. Gavin, you're the best, man. Love you, kid. Yeah, that's all we got today. If you are watching, if you're one of the 15 people that decided to watch this probably, thank you for that. And obviously thank you, T's family. Like, gonna miss having you guys around. Hopefully it's not I was gonna say hopefully it's not the end of the world, or end of our road at least. One of the things I tell, I'm not going to tell you the whole story because at some point you will have a graduation celebration of some sort and you'll find out what that's all about within our club. But one thing I always tell guys is that, wherever you're going, whatever you're doing, I'm always in your corner. So if you need something, you need a challenge brick thrown, whether that's about wrestling or it's about PT school, my arm's always warm. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm ready for it. And you need a towel off, you're working too hard, you're getting sweaty. Again, whether on the mat or off, I got you covered. So thank you, T, and for doing the same thing that other guys did for you, them taking you under their wing, you now continuing that tradition. And I think that some of those guys that we have now, I get worried about numbers, like just because we need a certain amount of numbers to keep the club performing at the level that it's at, or the kids training at the level that they need to be at. And while I worry about it, I don't worry about the guys we have, because we have that tradition of the older kid, they bring the next group, and the next group knows what to do already. That I don't have to teach them how to drill. I don't have to teach them how to act. I don't have to, I have to redirect. I need to tell some kids to stop talking sometimes.
Yeah.
But I never have to reinvent the wheel or start from scratch because of the culture. And while I'd love to say, yeah, I built that, like, I didn't build that. The kids built that. Like, you guys build that. You guys set the tone. You guys show what we're doing with how you drill, with how you act in the community, with how you compete. So really thank you for that. That's all we got for today, folks. Hopefully tomorrow I get a couple more interviews in, and at some point I'll learn how to edit these and we'll get them online. But thanks for watching.
Cool.
Ain't nobody really than gorilla. Ain't nobody really than gorilla. I said, ain't nobody really than gorilla. Ain't nobody really than gorilla.